And this is what your adorable shark slipper, baby shark slippers look like. Just show you from the side. And then if you want to make the pants, I have a video tutorial for that. And then also for the adorable shark shirt. And the shark shirt has attached and a hat that's attached. And you can have removable hat by buttons on the inside of the sweater. And then there's buttons on the back of the sweater for ease on putting it on. And those are your shark slipper socks. For this project, you're going to need your J crochet hook or 6mm crochet hook. And also you're going to need a good pair of scissors. And I used 2 tapestry needles. This tapestry needle I like because I can do quick, burying my loose yarn ends quickly. I don't need to use my yarn threader. But the reason that I'm using this small, slender tapestry needle is because I want to sew on my button for the shark eye with the regular yarn. So if you want to sew on your button with just a regular sewing needle and thread, you can do that as well. But if you want to use yarn to sew on your button, and the buttons that I'm using are by Lamode, and the reason I like this button is because it has a little center portion to it that looks like an eyeball. So it's actually sewn on from the back, and my tapestry needle will fit through the back of the button. But like I said, you can use just a regular sewing needle and some thread if you want to do it that way. But I'm also going to show you how I used a slender tapestry needle to sew on the button with yarn. And the reason I like that is because you only need one pass through the hole with regular yarn, which is really nice. For the other sized sharks, I used these royal blue colors. And on film, you probably can't tell that this is actually a different shade of royal blue than this color. But the yarn is pretty equivalent. I believe that this one was my Vanna's Choice one, but the other one that I chose is by Impeccable. And this one is a royal blue. See if I can bring that in. There we go. And for the other size sharks, I used the Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo. So you can use whatever yarn that you want, but these are just the yarn colors that I used. And this one is soft white. And if you're going to make your own eyes, which I'm going to show you as well, if you don't like to use the buttons, then you're just going to need some black yarn. And I always keep Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo Black on hand because it always comes in handy for that purpose. So this is how I did my measurements. I found that the average female size you're going to do, you make a chain for how many inches that you measured. But if you're not sure and you want to surprise someone, you would have to gauge about how big you think their foot's going to be. And like I said, I measured right at the base of the big toe and at the heel and measured about 8 inches. And so I would take and make my chain as long as what I measured. So the 8 inches, I just made a chain of 28. And for a male, chained about 34. And then for the baby, about 3 to 6 months, I started with the chain of 8. So I'm going to be showing you how to do the chain to start, but I just wanted to show you the different sizes. And like I said, I'm going to be showing you how to make each of these different sizes. So now for the baby shark socks, you're going to take your color that you're using for your socks and you're going to do a slip knot. So you're going to fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. And then just take your crochet hook, and I'm using my J or 6mm crochet hook, and go through the loop. Hold the base with your middle finger and your thumb, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. And then you're going to need the size for the baby sock that you're going to make. And mine is going to be about 2 inches. So I'm going to do a chain of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this should fit about a size 0 to 3 months. If you want a bigger size, then you would make a larger chain to start with. Now we're going to start working in rounds. So the first thing you're going to do is just do a chain 1. And then you're going to work a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So you take your crochet hook, go into that second chain from the hook. You're going to bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet. And then you're going to do a single crochet into every stitch to the other side. And then when you reach that last stitch, you're going to do 3 single crochet into that last stitch. So now I'm in my last stitch. So I'm going to do 3 single crochet into that last stitch on the end. And I'm also going to bury my loose yarn ends. I'm going to go behind the loose yarn end as I work. And now I'm turned to work on the opposite side. So you can see how we did our single crochet across this side, and now we're going to work on the opposite side. So you're going to go into the next stitch behind your loose yarn end, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and you're going to do a single crochet into every stitch all the way back across to the other side. And I think I buried my loose yarn end enough, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my loose yarn end. And then when you reach the end of this side, you're going to do 3 single crochet into your last stitch. So this is my last stitch right up here at the end. So I'm going to do 3, actually this is my last stitch right here. So I'm going to do 3 single crochet into that stitch. And then I'm going to get a yarn marker, and I'm going to use a blue yarn so you can see. So I just use one of my scraps of yarn, just place it right where you left off. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way to the end. So 1 single crochet into every stitch. And your yarn marker will help you keep track of where you are as you work. Now when you reach the end, you're going to see that there's 1 middle stitch right here. So there's 1, then you have the middle stitch, and then you have the other side. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet to finish off this side. I'm going to do 2 single crochet into the end stitch. So 2 single crochet into the same stitch on the end, and then you're going to start doing 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way to the other side. And then right before the yarn marker, you're going to do 2 more single crochet into the end stitch. So here you can see that the end stitch falls right before the yarn marker. So in that stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochet into that stitch. And then I'm going to take my yarn marker and move it up. And then on this round, you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way to the end. And this time on the end, you're going to have 2 stitches on the end that you're going to be putting 2 single crochet into each of those stitches. So here you can see that here is the center, and then you have 2 stitches on the end And each of those stitches, you're going to put 2 single crochet into each of those stitches. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet back to the yarn marker, but then right before the yarn marker, you're going to put 2 single crochet into those 2 stitches on that end. So when you reach this end, you can see that the 2 stitches fall right before the yarn marker. So you're going to put 2 single crochet into each of those 2 last stitches. And then you can take your yarn marker and move it up. And you can see that you're increasing and it's getting bigger as you're working, and that's what you want. So now you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way to the end again. But this time on the end, you're going to have 3 stitches. So you do 1 single crochet until you reach the end. And then when you reach the end, you'll see that now down the center, you have 3 stitches on the end. Now you're going to put 2 single crochet into each of those 3 stitches on the end. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet back to the yarn marker, but again on the end right before the yarn marker, you're going to have to put 2 stitches into each of the 3 stitches on that end as well. So you just see where those 3 stitches fall, and this time you can see that the 3 stitches fall here, but you have 1 extra stitch before the yarn marker. So I'm going to put 1 single crochet to finish this side, and then I have my 3 center stitches. I'm going to put 2 single crochet into each of those stitches. And then in the single stitch before the yarn marker, I'm just going to put 1 single crochet into that stitch. And now you're going to move your yarn marker up, and we're going to do our last increase round. So you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way to the end, and then come back. So now you can see that you have 4 stitches on the end. You're going to do 2 single crochet into each of those 4 stitches. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet all the way to the other side, and remember that on the other side you're going to have to do 2 single crochet into the 4 stitches on the opposite side as well, right before the yarn marker. So we're going to look and see where our center stitches are, and here you can see that you have your 4 stitches, and then you have 1 right before the yarn marker. So I'm going to do 1 more single crochet to finish this side, and then I have 4 center stitches that I'm going to do the 2 single crochet into each of those stitches. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the last stitch before the yarn marker. Then I'm going to move the yarn marker up, and now you're just going to do 1 round of 1 single crochet into every stitch. So go ahead and do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around back to the yarn marker, and then come back. This is how your work should look. And now you're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch into your next stitch. So go into the next stitch with your crochet hook. yarn over, and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch. Then you're going to yarn over and finish off. And you need to make another one just like this in the top color that you want for your shark. And in my case, I'm using the blue. Now after you finish your blue side exactly the same way that you made the white side, or whatever colors you used for your shark, we're going to sew the pieces together. But before you do that, you might want to mark the area that you're going to leave open for the mouth. And I have 16 stitches here where I want the mouth. So then you're going to lay the right sides together. See if I have, yeah, the right sides together, because you're going to fold it inside out when you're done sewing the two ends together. And you're going to take your tapestry needle and put it onto the long end that you left for sewing, or just get the same colored yarn as the shark that you're making. And then you're going to make sure that you have it lined up exactly together, because you're going to sew the two ends together. And you're going to take your tapestry needle and just go through the top stitches of both the front and the back. And then you're just going to go in and out with your tapestry needle. And you're just going to sew the ends together, but you're going to leave the mouth open. So I'm just sewing down to this side of the mouth. And then I'm going to go back and sew all the way around to the other side of the mouth. So go ahead and sew your pieces together, making sure that you leave an opening for the mouth like I did, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Now when you finish sewing the sides together and leaving the opening for the mouth, we're going to tie a knot. So how I did that is you just form a knot, and I usually go a couple times. And then you can take and bury your loose yarn in by just weaving it through. And you can go a couple directions. And then you just cut the loose yarn end. So go ahead and make sure all your loose yarn ends are buried, and then come back. Now go ahead and turn your shark slipper inside out. And then we're going to start working on the upper colored portion. In my case, it's the blue yarn. And I'm just going to take my crochet hook and go into that first stitch. I'm going to make sure I get into both loops. And then go ahead and take your yarn and hook it and bring it back through. Then you want to make a chain 1 and then tie a knot. And then you're going to do a single crochet. I'm going behind my loose yarn end so I can bury it. And then you're going to do a single crochet all the way to the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut my loose yarn end. Now once you reach the center, so I'm going to go ahead and let one of those go, because I want to have, here's the center right here. So if I go down, I have 4 stitches right at the center. So we're going to do 2 decreases with those 4 stitches. So you take your crochet hook, you go into the next stitch, you bring up a loop, then you go into the next stitch and bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for 1 decrease. Then you're going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease. And then you're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch back to the end. And then once you reach the end, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and now you're going to do a single crochet back to the center. So 1 single crochet into every stitch, and then I'm just going to check my center, and I have 4 stitches right across the center. So I'm going to do 2 decrease stitches with those 4 stitches. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease. Go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease. And then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch back to the end. And then I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and now you're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch for 2 rows. So go ahead and finish 1 single crochet into every stitch for 2 rows and then come back. Now after you finish 2 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch, we're going to finish off. Just yarn over and then pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. And now we're going to make the shark teeth. So we're going to start on the upper part and we're going to fold. You can see how the upper part has a little triangular shape on the edge. You're going to fold that down. And then you're going to take your white, the same color that you used for the bottom, or any white yarn that you have, and I'm using soft white. And then I'm going to go right into the corner. I'm going to hook my yarn and bring it through. Make sure you leave enough loose yarn end for tying a knot and burying into your work. Then yarn over and go through that loop, and then you're going to just tie a knot. Now you're going to be working, you can see how I folded over to form a little bit of a triangle on that edge. I'm going to be working my teeth along that folded edge of that triangle. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and then I'm going to do 1 tooth here before I go on to the regular single crochet of the upper portion. So I'm going to do a double crochet. I'm going to skip 2 stitches and do a double crochet into the 3rd stitch over. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that 3rd stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And you can see how I formed a triangle. I'm going to make a chain 1 for the tip. Then I'm going to take my crochet hook, go into the center of the triangle, behind the double crochet, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet, and I'm going to do 1 more single crochet in the same space, and then I'm going to do a single crochet into the next stitch on the blue portion, and you can see how I formed 1 tooth. So now I'm back. You can see how the back looks where I folded it over into a triangle, and now I'm on the regular portion of the upper part of the mouth. So I'm going to skip 2 stitches, and I'm going to work a double crochet into the 3rd stitch. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to work 2 single crochet into the triangle and around the double crochet, and then I'm going to make a single crochet into the next stitch on the upper blue portion. So on this side you are also going to fold down the triangle. I'm going to skip 2 stitches and work my double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 1, 2 single crochet into the triangle, and then a single crochet into the next stitch, and then I'm just going to do a single crochet all the way to the end. And you can see how I folded down and worked over that triangular portion that I folded down to the inside. Now I'm going to the bottom portion, so I'm going to do a single crochet into the bottom part of the mouth, and then I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then work a double crochet into that 3rd stitch, just like you did for the top of the mouth. Chain 1, 2 single crochet, single crochet on the next stitch on the bottom of the mouth, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, chain 1, 2 single crochet into the triangle and around the double crochet, single crochet on the next stitch on the bottom of the mouth, and you just keep doing that all the way across. And looks like I could fit 1 more tooth in. I'm going to go ahead and fit a tooth in. And then do a single crochet onto the next stitch, and then a single crochet into the next stitch until I reach the first single crochet that I made. And then once I reach that first single crochet, I'm going to do a slip stitch. So you go into that next stitch, yarn over, and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch, and then you're going to finish off just enough yarn to bury into your work. And then you have your teeth on the top part and teeth on the bottom. So now we're going to make the fins and the eyes. Make sure that you bury your loose yarn ends. I'm just going to sew down this one triangular portion that I made. And then I'm going to tie a knot. And then bury the loose yarn end. Go ahead and bury all your loose yarn ends. Now for the fins, you're just going to take the main color of your shark. We're going to start with the slip knot. Just take and fold it over to form a loop. I'm using my J crochet hook. hold the base with your middle finger and your thumb, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to chain 3. So hold that last stitch with your middle finger and your thumb. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to do a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. So you yarn over, go into the 4th chain from the hook, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And then you're going to do a double crochet into every stitch all the way back to the end. So I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to do a double crochet into that last stitch. And then I'm going to move up to the next row. So I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn my work. And you're not going to go into this base stitch or where this stitch up slopes. You're going to go into the next stitch over. So you're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. And then you're going to do 1 double crochet into every stitch back across. And then you're going to chain 3, turn your work, and do 1 more row of 1 double crochet into every stitch. And then your work should look like this. You could see that you have a loose yarn end on this corner. You're going to take the opposite corner and fold it up to form a triangle. And then we're going to sew the ends of the triangle shut. So you're going to take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, yarn over and go through both for a single crochet. Make sure you're grabbing both sides. You want to sew the 2 ends together to form a triangle. And you're doing that with single crochet. So when you reach the top, go ahead, tuck your loose yarn into the center. And then make sure that your point at the top, that you do a single crochet into that point. And then chain 1 at the top. And then you're going to turn and work down the other side. It forms a nice triangle. And then when you reach the bottom, you're just going to finish off. So you're going to yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the fin onto the shark. And you're going to need to make 5 of these. After you've made 5 triangles, you're going to take one of them and we're going to sew it right onto the center of the top of your shark. So you're going to take your shark, and you can see right where the center is on the top. You're going to take your crochet hook and go down into the center with your tapestry needle, and you're going to sew the center fin onto the shark. So then you take your tapestry needle and go down the center of the fin, and that's how I sew mine on. Just go right down the center of the top of the shark and down the center of the fin until you have the fin sewn onto the center of the shark. And just make sure that you have it sewn on nicely. And then once you're happy with how it's sewn on, I'm just going to sew this bottom part. Then you can tie your knot. And then after you tie your knot, then you can take and just bury your loose yarn into the fin. And then just cut it. And now you have the fin onto the back of the shark. And now I'm going to show you how to make the eyes. You need 2 black eyes for your shark, but since you can't see the black yarn well on video, I'm going to show you how to make the eyes with the white yarn. But you're going to use your black yarn for your eyes. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start with a magic circle. So you drape the yarn across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, and wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops, bring up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. Now you're going to do 3 single crochet into the magic circle. So you go into the magic circle, bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through both those loops for a single crochet. And you're going to do 3 single crochet into the magic circle. Then you take your forefinger and your thumb, hold it at the base of those 3 single crochet. You have the 2 loops on the opposite side. Pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one. And then pull on your loose yarn end. And then you're going to take and do a slip stitch into that first stitch that you did. So you go into that first stitch. Make sure you get under both loops. Sometimes that first stitch is hard to get under. And then once you get under that first stitch, yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch. And then you're going to finish off, yarn over and pull enough yarn through to sew the eye onto the project, but I'm not going to cut this one. But that's how you make your eyes, and you need 2 of them. Now you just take and sew your eyes on. And you can see where I placed mine. And here's my other one. And here's the center. Now for the shark fins on both sides, you're going to sew them on the same way as you did the one on the top. You just take and sew it along the line of the color change. Just take your tapestry needle and go underneath the triangle and just take and sew it in place. And you can see how it lays down nicely. So go ahead and sew yours on both sides, and then when you come back, I'll show you how to sew the back fins on. Now tail. For the tail, I'm taking my 2 triangles, and the points of the triangle, or the top of the triangle, are going to be facing each other, and I'm going to sew the tail on like this. So I'm just going to take and sew the tail, the tip of the tail, onto the back of the shoe. So make sure that when you're sewing it that you could take your hand and put it inside the mouth, and you can hold the tail in place, because you want to make sure that you're only sewing it to the top part of the back of the tail. So you can take and go through and sew it in place. And like I said, just make sure that you're not sewing it to the bottom. And then you can also sew it along the top this way so that only the tail part of it is hanging over the shoe. So go ahead, sew your tail in place and then bury your loose yarn ends and then come back.